Hello, it is such a pleasure to be with you in this virtual environment. Today I'm going to be talking about 5G implementation in ports, looking at opportunities and challenges. Actually, to begin with, I'm going to start looking at why do we need to even think about 5G or development of technologies. So identifying the need, I think, is pretty key to what we're going to be looking at into the future. Then there's some opportunities and challenges, which I really want to spend a bit of time looking at some of the developments as well within this changing environment and the expectations that are changing. Finally, ending up by looking at transition, transformation, and a bit into the future. But to start off with, this concept of going digital, and 5G really is that concept of being able to go digital. We hear of smart ships, smart ports, smart phones, smart cities. It seems that we're all getting very smarter, or are we? What does it really mean, this concept of a smart ship working into a smart port within the concept of a smart city? Well, if you think about what a smartphone is, it basically means that we can have connectivity, applications, data, and data exchange using different types of technologies, LTE, 3G, or 4G, or 5G, as we're talking about now. At the core of this is the fancy technology, digital data shared over digital networks that are transferred into something that we can make use of. And that really then brings me into why do we need to think about implementing 5G in ports? Why do we need to have this ability to be technically connected? One of my thoughts is always to look a bit to the past when we're looking at identifying the need for now. In the past, you may not remember this too much. Semaphore, Morse code over the radio. Morse code by lights are still taught and still used in the maritime industry. A lot of paper-based data exchange, information that was still available, but with limited ability to exchange. Then we've moved into now this information explosion. And hopefully we're on the tail end of that information explosion, but we have so much data available to us, sometimes in multiple formats, and it can be difficult for that data to be ingested or to make sense of that information. If you have the ability to actually manage that data, to share that data in a cohesive manner, so that you can support safety, can support security and efficiency, support the economy, protect the environment, all of those key words, by knowing what information is available and mixing that together, interacting with that information to provide valuable insights through decision support and support your interactions with other vessels and with other people in the maritime industry. So I think the past, we've gone from very analog into an information explosion, digitization, not digitalization initially. We're moving into a digitalization where we're making benefit of that digital data, but into information management. And information management must be supported by technology, by policy, through strategy and strategic plan, with a strong governance framework that ensures interoperable systems. So we're not looking at technology in isolation, although today we're focusing on one aspect of technology, which is 5G. But in order to have information management, we must have these pillars that work together cohesively to move to a coordinated, integrated, shared information platform, a stable platform for sharing of information. So now we've looked at the why. We want to ensure that we have this cohesive approach to information management, looking at better sharing of data. What are some of the opportunities and challenges? Well, one of them is the one that we're dealing with right this very moment, and that is the challenge of the COVID-19 response. And it really has led to a lot of innovation and a lot of rethinking how we operate, how we work. Within the maritime environment, there are two key UN specialized agencies, and both of them are focusing on looking at the future, the development of how we will respond to and work following the pandemic. So the ITU, the International Telecommunications Union Secretary General, has said that as the world recovers from and adjusts to the new normal created by COVID, there is a need to build back better. And in order to do that, information and communication technologies are going to be at that core. The International Maritime Organization Secretary General Kitak Lim has indicated that increased automation in shipping has led to the potential to enhance safety and improve performance. And we know that. We looked at that already with our information management approach. The IMO is working to ensure that shipping can embrace this digital revolution and ensuring safety, environmental protection, cybersecurity, and using these digital technologies as a key, noting the need for standardization to enhance the efficiency of shipping. So part of that why also links into our opportunities and our challenges. A little bit more into the ITU now, and thinking about International Mobile Telecommunications, or IMT, and now looking at the upcoming activities that happen in the ITU, IMT 2020 and beyond, looking to what the future of IMT. Now, in the ITU, there are two main sectors that are dealing with this international mobile telecommunications. The radio communications sector, the ITUR, and the telecommunications standardization section, the ITU-T. Now, linking this to IMT 2000, IMT Advanced, and IMT 2020 is the IMT vision for ITUR M2083. And if we think of IMT, IMT actually is what we have communicated normally or in the common language as 3G, 4G, and 5G. So that IMT development, that international mobile telecommunications, directly links into this concept of 3G, 4G, and 5G. And you can see the significant increase in data as we're going. In 2001, 384 kilobits per second. 2009, 100 megabits per second. And here we are in 2020, moving into this 10 gigabits per second. Through the development of the IMT 2000, IMT Advanced, and IMT 20, we have seen this development of digital communications, 1G, 2G. Probably weren't too aware at the 1G, 2G level, really came into our common usage and our common operations when we got to 3G, 4G, and now we're looking at 5G and beyond. In the maritime industry, we have also been developing specific technologies using digital data to support the maritime. Digital select calling was very first, the automatic identification system. Now we have the specific spectrum allocated by ITU for the application-specific messages, and of course the VHF data exchange. And you can see the difference within those bandwidth and the capability, meeting different needs. Again, it goes back to knowing why we need to have this data exchange. The digital communications environment within this 3G, 4G, 5G, you probably heard of 3GPP, the third generation partnership program. This all links also into the concept of the reasons why these verticals, these standard development organizations. So you have this concept of a horizontal at the bottom of the telecommunications, but each specific industry, specific area that requires this Internet of Things, this digital data exchange, has what they call a vertical. And for the first time, as we're looking at the development of 5G, maritime has a role within the 5G maritime. There's a vertical for maritime. And that means that While 3G and 4G were not developed with a maritime operational requirement in mind, 5G is. And that gives us some significant opportunities moving into the future. And it really highlights this changing environment. Now, within this changing environment are a lot of expectations, things that you might be intangibles, but they are definitely there. There is this public perception and expectation that we will have connectivity at all times everywhere. There's the influence of social media on how governments manage. We look at the lead up to the American election, the use of Twitter in various areas, not just now for social interaction, but also linking it to policy and procedure development. There are commercial pressures that are continuing, and we're feeling them right now, definitely during COVID. Significant weather events continue to affect how we operate and the need for this communication. But we are seeing the haves and the have-nots, that digital divide, if you will, where some areas and some aspects have a lot of great connectivity, but others do not. But we need to look at all of this also within the Sustainable Development Goals from the UN. And these all have a role to play as we move forward. And there's a specific concept within the maritime industry. These developments and expectations, specifically in the maritime industry, are linked to regulations. The integration of systems, where we're starting to see more data working together to provide us with enhanced knowledge, better information, decision support capabilities. Ship sizes and capabilities are changing, and there's this blurred line now happening between ship and shore. This interconnectivity, this expectation back to that always being connected is now dividing that line, sort of blurring that line between ship and shore. We're looking now at virtual and augmented reality, as well as increased autonomous systems. So developments and expectations are all within this changing environment. When I took on the role of president of the Nautical Institute, I highlighted that one of my main challenges for the coming 2 years is how to address all this impact, all this technology. What is going to be the impact of the person, on the maritime professional? How can we ensure that we're moving forward with this technology, with the implementation of 5G in a human-centered digital society? And where does artificial intelligence fit within all of that? And thinking of that, we also need to look at security, the data exchange, the data economy, and our own personal digital data footprint. In May, in the time before COVID-19, the OECD Council approved recommendations on artificial intelligence and agreed the standards that were identified as being both practical and flexible to withstand a rapidly evolving field. And really, that's where we're at right now. We're into this concept of transitioning and transforming the maritime industry by making best use of technology. Now, 5G will have, and 4G already has had, but 5G will have an increasing emphasis within this transformation of the maritime industry. But we must maintain that focus on requirements. Why do we need the technology? What is it going to support us to do? And then where are the standards to drive that, to ensure interoperability? Looking to the future, how are we going to move beyond digitization to digitalization and then to the digital transformation, using this technology to improve, to grow, and to enhance? Considering the why and the who, not merely making what we do now digital, but looking at what we can do and how to do it better. This concept of looking at IMT 2020 and beyond. In the maritime industry, we need to look as well at adapting or adopting technologies, adapting or adopting systems, one of those pillars of our information management, so that we don't keep reinventing the wheel, but we make best use of the technologies and have this opportunity for interaction, a smart ship into a smart port within a smart city, and learn from the work of others. We have to learn that we must be agile, we're not going to be perfect, and we must remember that what we need today will not be what we need tomorrow. And we can't even imagine what we will need. But the most important part of that, the most exciting part of this is now that opportunity to be innovative and not to seek perfection, but if we chase perfection, we can reach back. Thank you very much.